Okay, I did a flea market. I did an estate sale yesterday. It was a one-day Friday sale at a house about half an hour, 45 minutes from here. But anyway, it was one of those little houses that an old couple had lived in since at least the 1950s, when they had their kids there and everything. And so it was a lot of stuff. It was a pickers type sale, a lot of small stuff, tools. It had a little bit of everything. And, I'm exercising restraint until I realized that they were basically giving everything away. So I just loaded up with what I thought was interesting. None of it was expensive at all. We have, bags and such. Normally I would do this in a more organized fashion from the back of the truck. But I have a cover on the truck, and I lifted the cover, and some angry wasps came out and took issue with my performance. So we are going to do this on the ground. So bear with me here. We'll go through these bags and see what kind of goodies we got. We'll start with this one. One thing I found I thought was kind of cool. It's a whole bunch of these vintage Mad magazines from the 1960s. This one is dated April of 67. Years and years ago, I read Mad when I was a kid too, but that was in the 70s and 80s. But I had a van, a 72 Ford van. I was going to use as a tool van, basically. And it had a shag carpet and seats in it and all that crap. And I tore all that stuff out. And under the carpet I found they had used old magazines to insulate the floor. And there was a lot of fan magazines from the 50s and Mad magazines from the 60s. One of them probably was this very issue. And I enjoyed reading them, so now I'm going to read them again. Back in 67, it was 30 cents. That's actually in pretty good shape, and on eBay, that is a $5 to $12 item right there. And I have a whole stack. Some of them are a little bit mousy chewed. Not much you can do about that, but I just bought them to read. I didn't buy them to resell, really. I have a friend of mine that does that. He's good with selling books and magazines. He always has a lot of luck with that. So I'm going to let him take over that. See, here's one, March of 67. And that's in pretty good shape, too. There's quite a few in here that aren't really in bad shape. So when I'm done reading them, I'll give it to him. Let him screw around with that. I'm not going to bother. We have a vintage can of lighter fuel. Pen Champ. Never even heard of that one. Is there a... Yep, there is a UPC on it, so it's post mid-70s. This is probably from the 80s, I'm guessing. Nice metal can, though. And it still has lighter fluid in it. I will put that to use somewhere. Let's see. Okay. Old school. This is Montgomery Ward's Powercraft. I believe Powercraft's tools were made by Wright Tool Company. A lot of them anyway. I'm not sure this was. This almost looks like an SK. And it's even got the adapter on it to go down to 3/8. This did not appear to be a house where people worked on cars a lot. This guy was a big-time radio repair guy. He had a big room in the basement full of radio stuff. Diodes and other little gizmos that go in old-fashioned radios. And the radio guys were poring over that stuff. So I didn't go through much of that. But this is in nice shape. I have a friend of mine that uses these for torquing wheel lug nuts. And this is good enough for that. I wouldn't use it for anything sensitive. It's not exactly precise anymore. It's a little bit off there. You can see it. But good enough for what he uses it for. And like I said, none of this stuff was going for big money at all. It was the last hours of the sale, and they wanted everything out of there. Okay. Now, the other day I needed a jumper wire when I was working on the Model A, and I couldn't find it. I know I had one. Couldn't find the damn thing. So the one thing I did take from the radio room was a bunch of these jumper wires. All different types and sizes. I got a clamp hanging off there. Ignore that. That's 2 clamps. So I have this, and now I have all the jumper wires I need. I'll put those up in the barn, and if I need another jumper wire, which I'm sure I will have them there. And of course, you see there's some clamps there too. Of no particular value, but we have a first aid kit, property of New York City. Nice, heavy steel box. Same type of box the Bell System ones come in from the same period. This is probably 1960s also. And we have bandages are still in there and some other things. I don't know, pill jars, something. Tourniquet. Obviously, you're not going to use any of that, but I wanted it for the box. That's a nice little toolbox for small tools and stuff like that. I can use that. And I don't think New York City will miss it. Anybody guess what this is? No? This is a shoe stretcher that you use to stretch out your shoes when you're going to polish them. Matter of fact, it even says it on here somewhere. What does it say? It's made by H&R. I don't know if that's the same H&R that does firearms, but maybe it is. Home Shoe Shiner. Stick that right in the front, and then this goes in the heel, and then you adjust it with the little scale up here. Interesting. Interesting device. I'd never seen a like it before, but now I own one. And I do occasionally shine my shoes. So that's good. What else we got in this little bag? We have 1960s or 70s era battery and bulb tester. Okay, it's in there. I don't know what this little clamp is. I'll have to figure that out. It's a Fisher clamp. Obviously, it squeezes down. Little tiny thing. I'll do something with that. I'm not sure what it is, but I'll figure it out. And the rest, oh, here, we got this cool vintage two-way radio. And there were no batteries in it, so it's not all crapped up inside. Yaesu FM handle FT202R. That's actually backwards. And on the front, it has a number. I don't know if that's a number. 914GL2. Probably is. And direct. I'm going to think that the next one is Middletown. We have home. We have, that's Danbury, Beacon, and Pogue would be Poughkeepsie. All nearby towns. That probably still works. It's like something straight out of the 1970s. Probably a security guard's radio or something like that. But interesting, and I will play with that. Oh, we have, who made you? A Ronson lighter. See if it opens. It does. Looks like it's in pretty good shape, too. And I believe I have butane. Oh, this doesn't take butane, does it? Let me see. Yeah, it does. It should. No, it doesn't. This Ronson lighter is a wick lighter. This takes that lighter, fuel down there. And it looks in really nice shape, too. I wonder if it still sparks. Like I said, this place had a lot of... Yeah, it does. Oh, yeah, look at that. Had a lot of smalls. That's a cool lighter. And they are, of course, collectible, especially when they're older ones like that. Some kind of odd little ashtray, I think. I couldn't tell. The basement was so dark. And it was just so loaded with crap that I couldn't tell sometimes what stuff was. Thought that might be uranium glass. It's not. In daylight, I can easily tell that now. But I just stuck it in my bag anyway. And I figured I'd check it later. If it's not, it's not. You know, it's not a big deal. Screwdrivers, little clamps. Some of this stuff is woodworking tools. You know, we have wood chisels and stuff. This is not for me. This is for somebody else who asked me for stuff like that. So I will put that aside for them. We have more screwdrivers. Not really sure what type that is. Get out of here, mosquito. This is, oh, I see. That's a bit screwdriver. It's bent, too. And this tightens down on it, I guess. Huh. Well, that'll be cleaned up, and I'll see who made it. Maybe it's something interesting. We got some little tiny clamps. Little clamps like this. A radio guy would use clamps this size. And so will a Victrola repair guy, which I am. So that will serve me well for something somewhere. More screwdrivers. Some of these old pill containers. What's in here? Held antacid tablets. Good for little screws and stuff like that. And they're cool little metal containers. Typical 1960s. I got a couple of these. This is not a Victorinox. This is the other brand. I forget which one it is. But that is a Swiss Army knife type deal. This is backwards. This should be like that. And it doesn't seem to want to close properly for some reason. Yeah, it's not slice my fingers off while I'm trying to play games with it. I'll play with that later. I'll be here all day if I start spending too much time on each individual item. Okay. A lot of you may not know what this is. I recognized it immediately. It's a dosimeter. That is, see if you can read that. Radiation meter, basically. Let's put it by the Bendix Corporation, I guess. Yes, this works in conjunction with another machine. This measures your dose. You clip this to your shirt pocket. It measures your dose of radiation whenever you're exposed to it, and then you put it in the machine, and it gives you the reading to tell you what it is. This guy was an IBMer, and maybe he was working with something that emitted a lot of radiation, or moderate amount anyway, and needed one of these. I don't know, but he had one. But then again, it's a 1960s era house, so you know, people did have emergency bomb supplies there in case World War III ever actually started. All right, I think that's good enough for that bag. We got just normal stuff in there. You've seen the screwdrivers and the chisels and crap. Okay, we have a canteen. This is actually, I looked at this earlier. It's made in Japan. Typical Boy Scout type equipment. It's been repaired a couple times. I know there were kids in that house. You know, there were generations worth of stuff. You see, they've repaired it here and there. Interesting, and it still has the cup too. Boy Scout equipment is collectible. Not a lot of money here, but you know, like I said, I didn't pay much for it. So, cleaning, a brush for cleaning up the bench, and we have a couple of other things here. Let's see. This, I love these can openers. They call it the miracle can opener. It's right, actually. These work. Those cheap Chinesian ones you buy today, hand ones like this, I never get much use out of those. They always seem to screw up after a while, and they slip, and they don't want to open a can. I always grab these in these older houses when I see them. These work. I don't leave those behind. Now this tool, what is this? It's a Starrett tool. Starrett Tool Company. Starrett makes measuring devices for machinists and stuff like that. I will figure out what that is. I'm not 100% sure. You know, it's obviously, well, it's Starrett, so it's expensive. And I can look it up. I can definitely look that up. This is going to be like 60 years old or older, probably 70 years old. Quite old. And interesting. Again, the House of Smalls. And a lot of little stuff here. Okay, let's put that bag aside. Move on to the next one. Okay. This one had some camera junk in it. Exposure meter. Whoopsie. That is for old style cameras, 60s era stuff. Kodachrome movies. That is your exposure meter to tell you what your light levels are when you're using, well, regular film. Not digital. This is pre-digital stuff. You can see they had a camera. I have a camera like that in this pile, but it's not the same brand. So obviously they had more than one. They have some adapters in there. I don't know what this is. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Put that over there. This is just a regular keychain. Well, not a keychain. I'm sorry. Key holder. Let me open that up. You put your keys on there. It closes like a little wallet. That looks like an Audi symbol on there. Well, maybe it is. Probably not. But whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Okay, we have another adapter. That's just a lens adapter. Here we go. This is a sad iron. What's a sad iron? No, it does not mean you're crying. This is, or got hit with an iron. Sad iron, sad is just an old English word meaning pig iron, heavy iron. And that's what this is. This is a fairly heavy iron, and my wrist is feeling it. I have carpal tunnel at the moment, flaring up. I took it because it's unusually clean, which tells me I think they were using this. The old lady who was the last tenant out, I think she was actually still using this. You could heat these on a gas stove, which the house had, heat it on a wood stove, which the house had, and I think she was using it. It's nice and clean. You don't usually find them that nice, so I just stuck it in the bag and suffered with hauling it around until I got outside. Okay. Film canisters, 1980s vintage. There is still unexposed film in there. Doubt it's any good anymore, but it's the canister that I really wanted, so good for storing small stuff. Another lens adapter. We have Ansco flash. This is a flash. camera flash. Takes flash bulbs, which I actually have somewhere. Not that I plan to use this, but... there we go. The Victorinox. Little, they sell these for like 15 bucks. It's got a scissors, it's got your tweezers and pick in there, and little knife blade, a little pen knife. Always nice when you find these. And like I said, it's not costing me really much. Pennies, literally, I'm throwing it in the bag. This is tchotchkes, you know. Just a little fascinating little paperweight, glass globe. And you kind of look at that and wonder, how the hell did they get that in there? Must be an art form. But, put that aside. We have a little pair of pliers here. Nothing special. Who made you? Utica. That's Utica tool. A good pair of pliers. Nice cutting edge. Again, the size a radio guy, electronics guy would use. So we will put that aside to put with the tools at some point. All right, let's put this back in here so I don't get it all confused. Yeah, I know I lost something there when I lose that. Okay. Put that aside. Sky is kind of dark today. I think we're going to get some rain. That's not good. Well, as long as it happens after I'm done here. Okay, here is the camera that I found. An Ansco, Sure Flash. Big old mosquito coming after me. It's in really nice shape. Not beat to death at all. That's probably a $10 eBay item right there. Ansco in Binghamton, New York. See, that's back when they used to make things in New York. Now all we make is bullshit. Okay, put that over there. More tchotchkes. Yeah, we got a kitty cat here. Yeah, see the resemblance? Hey, dumbass, look at the camera. Psst. Psst. Hey. Doesn't care. Okay. Well, that's what a cat looks like. Yeah. We'll put the cat over there where it doesn't break. Okay, we got a very heavy, and did I mention, the man of the house obviously was a heavy smoker because these ashtrays were all over the place. Again, I thought this might be a type of uranium glass, but it's not. Just a heavy 50s or 60s era cigar tray. Cigarette ashes go in there too, I guess. Put that over there. I do enjoy the occasional cigar, so maybe I will use that at some point. We have some automotive parts. I think, what is this? This is, I never even looked in this box. One Stuke. What is a Stuke? I don't know what that is, but let's open it up and find out. It's a condenser. If I had to guess, it goes to maybe an Audi. I don't know, because I did find that keychain, that key holder rather. What's down here? What is down here? We have a brush, a cleaning brush, with a made in Japan with a lucite handle. At least I think it's lucite. Looks like it. Another screwdriver. You know, these are handy. These screwdrivers are gonna go down to the shop. So, okay, we have, and a bunch of spark plugs and stuff. We have Bosch spark plugs. Spark plugs are kind of expensive. These are $5 or $6 a piece, easily. And they're all brand new. I did look in one of the boxes. The other boxes are all sealed up. That's really it for that bag. That over there. All right, let's do this tote next. First thing here is a General Electric transistor radio. This one runs on batteries or on a cord. I plugged it into the wall in the house and it immediately started to work. Not surprising in a house that had a radio repairman in it. So that's pretty cool. AM, FM, probably late 70s, I'm going to guess. Made the late 70s. It's intact. I believe it is anyway. Got a nice leather cover on it, or leatherette cover on there. No, maybe it is leather. And it works. That works. Will it survive an EMP? No, it's full of transistors. Okay. But still, there's a cool factor there. All right, we got Herman Munster's lunchbox. These are surprisingly collectible, especially when they're in decent shape like this. I don't know. Oh, who made you? a product of the American Thermos Bottle Company. And it has a thermos in it, but it's not the one that belongs there. There's a little tiny thermos in there, like for one little cup of soup. But it is a thermos. It's a Thermos brand thermos. So maybe it did belong in there. I don't really know. And it looks really clean. Like I said, this guy was an IBMer. He was not taking this to a construction site. So, it didn't get all... Why isn't that closing? It didn't get all banged up and brutalized, during its service life. So we'll just put that aside. Genuine Mopar power steering fluid. This is actually for a friend of mine who's a big-time Mopar collector. And he'll put that in his garage on a wall or something. There's still a little bit in there, too. This, I'm guessing, 1970s vintage. Maybe early 80s. Right in there. There is the pan that goes with that brush that I have in the other bag. Put that aside. Cling wrap. Plastic wrap. This stuff has 1,000 uses, and I buy it by the case. Anything I'm storing away for a while gets wrapped in this. It's a nice airtight skin to put on things, keep rust and mold away from stuff. Anytime I ship anything in the mail, I like to wrap it in this. This is nice to have. So whenever I see a loose roll in the wild, I grab it. Why not? The end came off the roll. All right. Now, we have 2 of these. You can see there's another one in the bag down there without the canister on it. But it's all there. This is a little cook stove. It is, what does it say on there? Hold on a sec. Wonder Corporation of America is distributed by, this is actually made in France. Let's see. Made in France. Bluette 206. Camping gas. Camping gas. That's the model. I've never heard of this before, but I did find numerous ones on eBay, and they do apparently sell. They run on butane. The butane cylinders are one use only. Basically, you snap it into the machine, and you cannot reseal the canister afterwards. The top here punches down through the seal on top of the can, and that's where the gas comes from that lights the burner. It's actually a very easy stove to use. And there is still, let's see if I turn that on. You hear it? Let's close that. There is still butane in there. You feel it. It's pretty well full. So that seal has actually been holding probably for 30 or more years, maybe 40. I don't know. I'm guessing these are 70s vintage probably, like I said. And there are 2 of them, and they're in real nice shape, too. The ones I saw on eBay, they averaged, there was one nice clean one like this with 2 of the butane cylinders. They wanted, I think, they actually got about $75 for it. So that's $150 worth of stoves there, and that's if I only sell them with 2 butane cylinders. Let's see. As you can see, there are 13 or 14 spare cans, both in here. Not cylinders, they're cans. Both here in the bag and loose in the box there. And somebody actually paid, what did they pay? $2.99 a piece. Where did they go for them? Campmore. I'm not familiar with that chain. Campmore. You can see, whoops, that's the bottom. See a little dimple on the top? That's where the stove punches through. And what does that say? 20% propane. That's, I'm going to guess that's propane. And these are actually the same manufacturer as the stove. Right there, Camping Gas. And it's in French and stuff like that. They got French markings on it. Australia? Blue Gas, Australia. No, made in France. That's right there. Now, I imagine this is probably not legal to ship anything but ground shipping. This is not going to go airship. You can see how they show you how to attach it to the stove there. But that'll be a nice little thing to put on and make some little extra cash on. I don't need any more camp stoves. I have plenty. All right, this bag. Okay. We have trash bags. Strong boy trash bags. It's probably pretty old. 30-gallon size. We have 2. Okay. We have 2 bags of 30-gallon trash bags. I use them. Good to have them. Lots of screwdrivers. Let's put those aside because they have to go to the shop. Antifreeze, Prestone brand antifreeze tester. Looks brand new. I don't think that's ever been used. It doesn't look like it has any use at all. These do work. For those of you who use old-fashioned green antifreeze like I do, this is what this works on. I don't believe it works on the other brand, the other colors of antifreeze. They're a little bit different. We have another empty film canister and a change tray. Just an odd little change tray. There were several of these around the house. They had a lot of glassware. Not really sure why, but let's put that over there in the other with the camera stuff. Why not? I found Prince Albert in the can. The old joke, for those of you who don't know, Prince Albert, the people would walk up to the checkout clerk or whatever at the general store and ask, "Do you have Prince Albert in the can?" "Why, yes, sir, we do." And then they would say, "Well, you better let him out. He may not like that." But that is Prince Albert in the can. Grocery store, costs 29 cents. These are probably 1960s vintage. There is no UPC on there. They haven't used cans. Prince Albert is still around, but they haven't used cans in many, many, many years. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Cool old tobacco cans. Okay. A whole bunch of these Baby Ben. And one of them actually does tick. I think they all might. Little mechanical alarm clocks made in USA. That tells you how old it is right there. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Well, we have a lot of cylinders and stuff in here. This is butane. We don't want the cap coming off that. That would be bad. Butane lighter gas. This is made for lighters, not for that stove. For gas lighters, mostly by Ronson. We have a questionable old school PB blaster. That's probably closing in on 25 years old. So don't know if that'll still work, but we'll give it a shot later. If not, I can get a glass jar, make a hole in the side of the can, and just drain it into the jar and apply it with a brush. That stuff's expensive, so I will take it, whether it has any oomph in it or not. Don't recall ever seeing this. 3-in-1 in a spray can. I have 3-in-1 in every other container, from glass bottles all the way up to the modern plastic ones. I've never seen one in an actual spray can. So that's interesting from a collectible standpoint. And it does have a UPC, so that's going to be, probably 80s, maybe early 90s. And of course, all of these places, every one of them seems to have at least one can of 3-in-1. There's something in there. This is the black, white, and red can. They have the red, white cans too. Regular 3-in-1 is all that's in there, and there's still 3-in-1 in there. It has 1,000 uses. Okay. This tape is Flex Seal. Oh, it's Flex Tape. That is Flex Tape. It's actually pretty expensive. So that is nice to have. And it doesn't really go bad. Not the tape anyway. I don't know about the liquids do, but not the tape. That is useful. I've used lots of that in the past for patching various things. It's always nice to have. Okay, we have a carbon choke cleaner that the top is missing on. Is it broken off? No, it's not. That means I can find another top. I have other gum out cans that's full. Hopefully it's good, because I could definitely use that. This one has the top. Okay. And it's also got the tube. That one's not full. It has maybe halfway. Okay, we have a bunch of these. Aluminum, 1960s era, 35 millimeter film canisters. Here's an unusual one. It's aluminum with a plastic top. It's Kodak. And here we have the old school aluminum with a steel top. Also Kodak. I like to keep little stuff in these, especially phonograph needles. Put that with the camera stuff. We have fabric tape. That is Safety. Oh, it's thread tape. I'm sorry. That's thread tape. Okay, put that in that one. We have more, as if one can of 3-in-1. I got 2 or 3 cans of 3-in-1 here. 3-in-1. This is a different color can. Bolt loosener spray, otherwise known today as penetrating oil. But it's by 3-in-1. And is there a UPC on that? Yes, there is. Okay, let's put that with the red one. And we got another one here that for some odd reason has a can of paste wax stuck to the top. No idea why. But that's more of that prevention of stuff, spray. And like I said, if the cans don't have any spray left in them, I will punch a hole in the side and dump it into a glass bottle and just use it with a brush. I hate paying full price for 3-in-1 when I know I can get it cheap. We have some 520 here. I know somebody that uses that. We have, and some 530. I know somebody who uses that. Now we got the tools. There weren't a lot of tools in this house, but there were some. We have here a typical Craftsman half-inch drive. This is going to be from the 90s. Does not say made in USA, so I kind of suspect these are Chinese, but I don't know that for certain. This one looks brand new, pretty much, and it works. You know, it's in good shape, so we'll keep that. Okay, what does this top go to? Probably, yep, it fits on the gum out. All right, we did that. We have a Craftsman extension here that, let's see, does it say made? Yep, this one does say made in USA. Half-inch drive. It's the long one. What is that, about 10 inches long? Okay. This is a modern Husky adjustable wrench. I was kind of surprised to find it in this house because nothing else in there was modern. And this is from like the last 10 years. This will be Husky made in China. Does it say that on it? No, it doesn't, but it works. That'll go to the shop. So if the kids destroy it, you know, it's not a humongous loss, and I won't be really pissed. As I would be if they lost something like these ones I have here, which are, to me, a bit more collectible. This is Proto. That is Proto. I believe these were made for them by Crescent, but I'm not sure. Forged alloy steel. I'm going to guess it's 1960s. And it's in nice shape. It's not all buggered up at all. Like I said, this wasn't the house where tools like this were used a lot. Radio guy. He used small screwdrivers, little cutting pliers, needle, you know, little pincers, things like that. He didn't really use a whole lot of heavier tools for that hobby. And he did not appear to be a car guy. Super adjustable. This is by Williams. J.H. Williams Company. Again, that's going to be 60s or 70s. And again, the jaws look pretty good. They're a little bit marked up, but not horrible at all. It's not hammered on. It operates smoothly. That's how these are supposed to work, with your thumb like that. You open it nice and easy. We have a Coast Patent pipe wrench here. This will clean up. This one's a little bit more buggered up, but this is a lot older than that house. What does that say on there? Is that a number on it? This is 1900s to the 1920s sometime. Maybe it belonged to an older relative or they picked it up somewhere. Somebody gave it to them, who knows what. But it doesn't really match the other tools that were at the house. But that'll clean up. I like those. I collect those. And this is just as old. This is a Walworth Manufacturing. It's a Stilson wrench. This is the original Stilson wrench. Stilson was an engineer who worked for Walworth, and he invented this wrench. This is his design, his original design with the one-piece wood handle. Deal he made with the company, or they made with him, was he allowed them to use his license, and at the same time, if he wanted to, he could license this design to other companies to make, which he did, and he died a wealthy man. And there you go. It's in nice shape, too. The teeth look nice. It's one of the smaller sizes. These are harder to find than smaller sizes because people abuse them. If you put a cheater pipe, or even sometimes just a lot of pressure on this, there's only a little thread shank in there, they can break or bend very easily. This one is straight as an arrow. It's nice. I grabbed that right away when I saw it. And a little bit of rust on there is nothing. That'll clean up in a few minutes, either on the wheel or in a vapor rust bath. The rest of this now, I think I mentioned it in the last video that I tend to find SK stuff at these estate sales. And sure enough, this was the only SK tool I found. USA SK, 1-inch socket, half-inch drive. I guess they needed a 1-inch socket for something, and looks like that was 45 cents. Hard to say. And they bought it. This would be probably 70s or 80s vintage. All right, what do we got here? We have a screwdriver that's missing its top. It's not a screwdriver, is it? What is it? Oh, it's an Allen key. I'm sorry. That's a hex key. Hex key driver. Who made you? BM. BM made you. Bowel movement made you. Okay. All right. That's okay. And this is a special socket for removing. Is that also SK? No, that's KD. Although it may have been made by SK for KD. I don't know. That is for removing oil pressure, electric oil pressure sensors on older cars like 60s and 70s. I know this would have fit all my vintage Mopars from the early 70s very easily. You see this is a special size? You need this to get that out. Without this, you don't do it. You know? 1.16", I think that is. USA KD. That's a nice little find right there. Specialty tool. I guess they had a specific job to do on one of their cars, and they bought that for the purpose. We have an S wrench. This is Billings S wrench. Oh, that's nice. More film canisters. We have whatever this is. This is vintage grease. Dow Corning 41 grease. That has to be 50s or 60s vintage. I don't even remember putting that in there, but I was just sweeping stuff into the bag anyway, so. I was, crammed in with other people, kind of grabbing stuff and, putting it in. They were going for the radio diodes or whatever. I was going for tools. Things like wood handle screwdrivers. I like wood handle screwdrivers. I've said that in other videos. I have these nut drivers here. Oh, damn it. Little nut drivers. I'm not sure who made that. But there's a nice handle on there. Does it say anything close to 5/16? It says that USA. And it says USA right on it. Has a nice little wood handle. Good shape. And he had the screwdriver fell back in the bag. Guess they didn't want to leave. This looks like this is a Stanley North Brothers. Well, it's North Brothers made by Stanley. Later period of manufacture. This is going to be 50s or 60s, I'm guessing. Nice. Very nice. That'll clean up easily. It's not too buggered up. Tip still looks okay. Has that been ground on? I think that has been repaired at some point. It does look it. Oh, there we go. But that's all right. Again, not big money stuff, Okay, here we have a vintage 1970s pair of Craftsman water pump pliers. Or slip joint pliers if you prefer, but actually water pumps is what they are. For adjusting water pumps on the old-fashioned cars and 1,000 other uses. And being that this is a Craftsman from that era, it is nice and tight. I think if I had to guess, I would say Channel Lock probably made these for them. Because, Craftsman never made it their own stuff. And this would not be marked by Channel Lock, but it looks like a Channel Lock. So I don't know. Probably is. But anyway, it's in really nice condition. The teeth are all good. So that's nice. If I was to sell that, I would probably put a $10 price tag, maybe $15. Little pair of slip joint pliers. Electrolyte. Oh, okay. Electrolyte made wrenches and pliers, things like that. 1930s, 40s, 50s. In the 50s, they partnered with SK because SK did not make combination wrenches or any kind of wrench. They made sockets. They didn't make wrenches. And so they made a partnership with Electrolyte. Electrolyte would manufacture the wrenches and SK would sell them. Plus, Electrolyte also made their own stuff under their own name. In 1962, Symington Wayne Corporation bought SK and Electrolyte. And after that point, they merged into one company. And the Electrolyte name will disappear off of pretty much everything. It used to say the ones made for SK would sometimes say SK Electrolyte on the wrench handle, stuff like that. After 62, that vanishes. But this is an original, so that could be dated probably, obviously, before 1962. My guess, mid to late 50s. Still in nice shape, has all the plating, most of the plating on there. Nice teeth. That's a nice one. Yeah, the world's smallest pair of Lyman Dykes. Who made you? I gotta put this up close to my eyeball. I can't see. I really can't make that out. I'm going to guess this is Utica, but I really can't see that. I cannot see what that says. I'm going to have to clean that up and take a closer look. But anyway, got nice. That's in really good shape. But this is the kind of tools that radio guys would use. Small stuff like this. You know, it's radios. You're not using gigantic lineman dyke, 9-inch lineman dyke, stuff like that. And the rest is just more nut drivers. Oh, we got another adjustable down here I forgot about. Who made you? I cannot read this either, boy. Quality Japan, it says. Okay, it's Japanese. Probably 60s or 70s. It still works. Yeah, look at that. Closes nice. It's a little bit buggered up, but not horrible. Oh, okay. That's a name I have not seen. What does that say? Partial forged. Partial forged? Partial? Oh, whatever. Okay. Does that cover it all? I think it really does for this particular estate sale. I think we're good. We covered everything. Oh, the only thing that's not here is there was a glass oil lamp that is elsewhere for protection with a nice red shade on it. 1960s or 70s vintage, not really that old or valuable. And the lady running the sale packed it in some plastic tubs for me so that the glass wouldn't get broken. The funny thing was I had planned to buy some of those tubs, but I forgot to add them to my haystack. I didn't want to go back in for them because then I'll end up paying an extra $5 or whatever. This was not my, what did I pay for this? 25, 30 bucks? 40 bucks? I forget. It was around there. But anyway, and then she goes over, grabs a bunch off the top of the stack. So I was only going to take 2. She gave me 3. One for the bottom of the lamp, one for the small shade on the inside, one for the large shade. And I said, okay, I didn't say anything. Yeah, that's good. Oh, there's something hidden back there. I forgot. Look at that. Yeah. Yeah, this is a Bell & Howell flashlight. A little LED, probably first generation so-called tactical flashlight. One thing I do like about this one is why I put it in the bag. It has a nice solid click button on the back. Does it work? Oh, it does. It does. That actually still works. Okay, I didn't think it did. But the batteries are dead. Whoop. We have to go through all of the settings to turn it off. It has another one under there, and now it's off. Okay. I should put that in my belt holster and use it. Right now, I'm using my Olight. And why am I using my Olight when I have a brand new Monster Flash tactical light? Well, I'll get into that in another video. Let's just put it this way. I'm not exactly thrilled with Monster Flash's performance. And I am going to take issue with it. But that'll be in its own video on the issues I've had with these little flashlights, mostly involving the push buttons in the back and their habit of deploying in the holster and attempting to set my pants on fire by overheating. So that'll be its own video eventually. But I'm waiting for some feedback from Monster Flash first before I go totally blasting anybody online. But there we go. That is the pile from this estate sale. Nothing big, nothing major, nothing really valuable. Just cool old crap that I will play with and amuse myself with for a while. And some of it I will sell on, like all of that. That's all going to be sold. Okay.